Hello my lovelies and welcome to the 2000 subscribers episode of Along the Lanes. Today I've got some great stuff for you, but first I must say a huge thank you. I have had such a good time creating these episodes, and 2000 subscribers is just such a fantastic milestone. Of course I couldn't do it without you, so in order to say thank you, I've organised a little giveaway for you. For the 2000 subscribers giveaway, I've got some goodies from 3 lovely businesses here in the UK. From Skein Queen, some beautiful yarn. From Fripperies Bibelots, we've got some great stitch markers. And from the girls at Pom Pom, we have the Fiona Alice book that has just come out. If you'd like to win one of these prizes, all you need to do is a random act of kindness. I thought I'd do something a little bit more challenging than just asking you to leave a comment. So what you need to do is, in the next 2 weeks, I'm giving you 2 episodes before I give away these prizes. You need to perform a random act of kindness for somebody. It can be putting a little nice post-it note in your other half's lunchbox. It can be saying a genuine, real thank you to your postman rather than just grab the parcel and go. Or it can be helping somebody who needs help and who might not usually be on your path, so go out of your way to help them. Anything that just makes somebody else's day just that little bit brighter. You can even put googly eyes on your postbox if you want. I want pictures if you do. Once you've done your little random act of kindness, then you can leave a comment. You don't have to share what you've done. It can be a private thing, but leave a comment, tell us what you've done, or just say you've done it. If you don't want to share what it is, that's fine. I'll trust you on that. And in 2 weeks' time, I'll pick out winners from the comments on this particular video. So be sure to leave your comment on this video. You're eligible wherever you live in the world, so do participate and just spread the love a little bit. So make a note on your phone and your notebook. Be sure to perform your little random act of kindness within the next 2 weeks. I'll remind you at the end of the episode, just in case you're in the middle of knitting a row. I understand. So again, a huge thank you to you, the viewers, to the lovely people of the British creative industry. So Debbie from Skein Queen, Sarah from Fripperies Bibelots, all the girls at Pom Pom, Rachel Atkinson for that lovely discount code that she gave us last week, and my very patient friends Kieran and Gemma, who always hear me waffle on about what I'm going to do at the next episode. I couldn't do it without all of you, so thank you. So you might have noticed that the craft room around me has taken an air of organisation. I have spent 2 solid days completely gutting out everything that was in my shelves, pulling everything out of the room and just reorganising everything in a way that made more sense. It wasn't just a case of fit everything in the shelves and hope that it's not on the floor. It was much more about actually organising things. And I documented the whole thing. I have a full video coming for you in the next couple of days, and I can't wait to just show you how much of a difference it's made. Immediately today I felt the effect in that I was looking for my heat gun and immediately I knew where it was. I didn't have to look for it. While previously I'm sure I would have gone through 4 or 5 buckets before finding it, and even then I was lucky if it was anywhere to be seen because it was probably at the very bottom of one of the buckets. So now everything's super organised, it's all in the really useful boxes, which are great and neatly labelled. Of course now the onus is on me to actually keep putting things back where they belong, but I think I can probably manage that. It's totally worth it. With all this sunshine and wonderful weather we've had, it's really put me in the mood for springtime cleaning. We're now nearly 2 months into the new year, so undoubtedly your New Year's resolutions, like mine, have just gone completely out the window, haven't they? So what can you do that doesn't take too long, makes you feel productive and just saintly for being done? Well, there are 5 days in the week, and I've got 5 suggestions, and then that leaves you 2 days to kick back and just admire your wonderful work. Tip number 1. Organise your projects. grab all of your knitting projects and just dump them all on the floor. Add the ones that aren't yet on Ravelry so that you can track where you're at, what needle size you've used, what yarn is in use, and allows you to decide whether they're going to the frog pond and getting ripped out and reused for something else, or whether you're going to finish them, work on them, and finally get to wear them. That's what I did while I was reorganizing the craft room, and I'm so pleased I did, even though certain projects that will be frogged were a little bit of a heartache because they took me a long time. I just knew I wasn't going to wear them, so I may as well reuse the yarn for something else. Tip number 2. Clear out your medicine cabinet. Might seem like an odd one, but that's something worth doing once a year. I did mine a few weeks ago, and it'll depend on where you live, but here you can gather everything and take it to your local pharmacy where they'll dispose of it in the best way possible. So don't just throw it in the bin, put it in a bag, drop it at the pharmacy, and they'll take care of it from there. But just look for anything that's out of date, anything that's no longer good, and replace it with up-to-date medicine so that when you're feeling really, really rough, you don't find yourself with, things that have an expiry date of 2013. Tip number 3. Finances. I know. Especially if you're a small craft business, it's so important. Here we're nearing the end of the tax year, so it's extra worthwhile. Gather all your receipts together and just start making sense of either your personal budget or your small business budget. You might not be able to do everything in one day, but you can at least make a good dent in it and get yourself a little bit more organized. Have a look online. There's some great small business accounting tools or even sole trader tools. We use here in the UK a tool called FreeAgent. I'll put a link in the description. We've been using it for years and I love it, but wherever you are in the world, there's going to be something that suits your needs, and it's just so worth doing so that you don't get to the end of the year or the end of the month if it's your personal budget and just have a bit of a panic that everything's too deorganized. So just spend a little bit of time on that. It'll be worth it. Now, tip number 4 is something that has saved me a lot of hassle in the past. Putting a useful background on your mobile phone. So if, like mine, you've got it so that you require a passcode in order to go in, if you lose your phone, nobody can find you, nobody can find your details. What I've done, and what I highly recommend, is to put a background where you put in your name. In my case, because I use Twitter a lot, I've put my Twitter username and then an alternative phone number, so that if somebody finds my phone, they won't be able to unlock it, but they'll be able to see on that screen, provided that it's charged, a phone number where they can reach me. When you've lost your phone and you're panicking, there's nothing better than that phone call that says, hey, I've found your phone, here's where you can get it back. So I really do think that's a worthwhile thing to do. And it only takes a few minutes. I've created my background using just image editing software. So pick an image and just put a text box on top of it. But even if imaging software is not really your thing, you can always just do it on a piece of paper, just write it nicely and legibly, and then just take a picture and set that as your background. Simple. And finally, tip number 5. Grab a few items of clothing that you don't wear anymore, that don't fit you, things that you've bought and then thought, why on earth did I buy that? And just put them in a bag and find a local charity shop or a local clothes drop-off, or even give it to a friend who you think might benefit from it more. Where we go rollerblading, there's a bin for the British Heart Foundation, and I try to just grab a few things that either don't fit or that I don't wear anymore, and I try and drop just a few things off every week. Rather than try and do a complete overhaul of my wardrobe, it lets me do just a little bit at the time. So whether you're more of an extreme do-it-all at once or a occasional drop-off person, it works, it makes some space, it makes somebody else happy. Can't get any better. So those are my 5 tips for this week, and of course if you watch in a few days you'll be able to see my whole IKEA reorganisation. As part of the grand craft room reorg, we fabricated this very cool bracket. So I've now got a roll of brown paper by the edge of my desk which I can just roll onto the desk, either to protect my table when I'm doing paper crafts and using paint and making a complete mess, or just to use as a scribble space. It's so simple, but it was great to make. Again, you'll see it in the video, you can see how we made it. But that's just the first of hopefully many things that we'll be able to make using our X-Carve, which is just fantastic. Last week I mentioned that I'd purchased some tiny circulars, so 9-inch tiny circulars to try making socks on a very small circumference rather than using magic loop or rather than using DPNs. And it was really interesting because during the same week TikkiKnits published a blog post that looks at all the different ways you can knit a small circumference. Again, whether it's DPNs, one long circular as magic loop, 2 circulars, or those teeny tiny mini needles. And I'll put a link in the description to her post, but it was interesting to hear. I think about half of you have tried them and enjoyed them, and the other half haven't felt like it was for their hands and found it too difficult. So it's great to see that everyone's feeling quite brave and definitely not boring and giving it a go, even though it doesn't turn out to be something for them. And if you're still looking for tips on knitting for a small circumference, apparently VeryPinkKnits has also published a video on using those mini circulars. Definitely a topic of interest at the moment. They're definitely my little guilty pleasure. On to current knits. So as you can see, I am now wearing my Gemini. I've decided to wear the lace side forward. I blocked it last week and it's just the right size, just the right fit. I'm superbly happy with it. I don't think that my stitch count is anywhere near what the pattern's supposed to be. I used the wrong needle size for most of it. I added my own increases and decreases, but as far as the idea of a front and back that's interchangeable, I really like that. I like the shape of the neckline, even though you can see my bra. It's a shape that I really like, so I think there's a good likelihood that I'll make the Gemini again, and hope I make the same random modifications that I made this time. Also, a few of you asked me, I forgot last week to mention what I was wearing around my neck. It's big. It's big and it needs blocking again. It's all a little bit wobbly at the edge. It's my Follow Your Arrow shawl from last year or 2 years ago, which was an Isolde Teague mystery knit-along. And it was quite a special one in that, depending on which variation you chose, it was a little bit like a choose your own adventure book, in that you could choose version A or version B, then in the second section, version A, version B. So there were quite a few variations that you could end up with. Some were non-symmetrical, and I'm glad I didn't go for those because I didn't love those quite as much. But this one is symmetrical and it's got that kind of interesting shape, kind of 3 long sides. And I've been wearing it a lot. It took about a skein and a quarter of Skein Queen Lustrous in Lagoon colorway. And I really like it. It's very cozy. It's definitely very big, but I don't mind that at all. And also, I finally got around to blocking something that I finished in November. I don't know if you recall, I finished my Ishbel, and it's in beautiful Hedgehog Fibres, but I was a little bit bummed out that it was too small. You would think that after years of experience, I would realize that when blocking, it will grow quite a bit. I just put it aside in disappointment, and finally I blocked it last week at the same time as I blocked the Gemini. And admittedly, it didn't turn out giant, but it's quite nice. The lace has opened up beautifully, the beads are showing nicely. I'm really happy with it, and since I finished blocking it, I haven't taken it off all week. The only reason I'm not wearing it tonight is because I would probably look like a unicorn's puked on me. What else have I been working on? Ooh, I have finished some socks. Oof. They're still fairly sodden because I blocked them about half an hour ago. But here you go, my first pair of Hawthorne sport weight socks. A little bit of pooling, especially on the foot on that side, but I'm quite happy with them. I don't know what the fit's going to be like quite yet. They felt a little bit tight when I tried them on before blocking, but we all know blocking can do miracles, so we shall see. Really like the yarn, really like the colorway. I've got 2 more skeins of other colorways in that same yarn. I don't think I'm in a rush to start another pair of socks. I fancy doing something a bit different, but unquestionably they will get used, they will be socks, and they'll be really comfortable. But I've got some great new yarn that's arrived, and I've started a new project, so socks will have to wait. In the grand craft room reorg, I dragged out every project that had needles in it. Anything that I'd been working on at some point, I just pulled everything out. Some went into a box I'm calling the Frog Pond and will probably get ripped out. I mean, in there's almost a nearly finished cardigan. There's another almost finished pullover. There's a few crochet projects I don't know what I was thinking. But I think they'll all get frogged. I just don't think that they're ever going to get finished, and some were just bad judgment. I mean, I look at that cardigan and I think 3 of me could probably fit in it, but I was erring on the side of caution when I was knitting back then, and I also didn't realize that I was a fairly loose knitter, so I was using the recommended needle size, when really now I always use at least 1 size smaller in order to get gauge. So what can you do? You live, you learn, you reuse the yarn. Happy times. I did start one project last night at nearly midnight. It's a pretty special one. Double cashmere. I'm using 2 skeins of Lotus yarns in DK 100% cashmere. That's been sitting in my stash for some time. And I'm using the 2 colors together, so a kind of petrol blue and smoky grey together to make a bit of a marled texture. And then I'm doing some slip stitches just of the blue color in order to make kind of stripes that will go all the way up. This is for an old friend, and I mean old friend, somebody I was friends with back in high school, who's currently undergoing chemotherapy in Canada. So I thought, in the middle of Canadian winter at minus 30-ish, you don't want to be going out without a suitable hat when you've lost all your hair. So I'll be shipping that off to Canada, and I think what I might do is publish this as a pattern on Ravelry. I haven't decided yet, I'm in 2 minds. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. I'm thinking of either releasing it as a free pattern or releasing it as a paid pattern where all the profits go to cancer research, which feels like it would be a nice thing to do. So I'll see how the pattern goes. I might eventually need some test knitters to give it a go, because I find it's going smoothly, but I'm wondering if others will feel the same way. So if you're interested in test knitting it, let me know, and as soon as it's done, I'll try to write it up as a pattern. I've only written up 1 pattern before that I published Ravelry, and it went okay, but it was only for bunting, so it wasn't exactly complicated. So it'd be interesting to see whether this is worth publishing as a pattern. As I mentioned last week, I'm going to Edinburgh Yarn Festival in March, and I really can't wait. And it made me think a little bit. Reading on Ravelry how others organise themselves ahead of a yarny event made me wonder what kind of shopper I am and what kind of shopper you are. So I kind of grouped it as 3 different types of shoppers. So there's the planner. The planner writes everything down beforehand, does their homework. I want to make this pattern, therefore I need this yarn in this quantity. Perfect. Write it down. Go look, maybe even an idea of colorway, really quite a clear plan. The second one is the browser. So the browser arrives at the event and goes thoroughly throughout all the stands, admires each and every stand and all of the stuff that's there before then making a decision on what's the item or the few items that will come home with them. So the browser will not necessarily have planned before, but will have thought it out as they amble throughout the event. And then there's the third one. The third one, I can only think of the term in French to describe them, coup de foudre. So that's love at first sight, but it's even stronger than that. It translates as lightning bolt. So that's the shopper who just immediately just falls in love with a color, a texture, with something, and just grabs it, and it's not even 10 a.m. and they've just picked out the things that were their absolute loves. And I think I like to think I'm a bit of a planner. I tend to write things down before I go. I tend to look at my Ravelry queue and say, yes, okay, so I need sweater weight of the sweater quantity for this, and I need 2 skeins of this, and, you know, writing it down and really thinking about it. And then I get there and it goes out the window and I'm straight back to being just completely coup de foudre. So I would love to hear, where do you think you belong? How do you think you behave when you attend an event? And let me know if you think that I've missed some other types of people. And of course, if you're in Edinburgh, be sure to catch me. We're starting to find out a little bit more about the Podcasters Lounge, which is organised by the lovely people at Blacker Yarns. So that should be really good fun. Looking forward to meeting some of the other podcasters. There's some truly lovely people attending. And I'm hoping to catch a few little fun interviews while I'm there. I've got some lovely stuff to show you. Time to give you the details of the 2,000 subscribers giveaway. I have 3 lovely things to give away, and again I have to say a huge thank you for being such good sports to Debbie from Skein Queen, who hand dyed a custom colourway, to Sarah from Fripperies Bibelots, who made some stitch markers to go along with the yarn, custom colorway again, and to Pom Pom, who sent us that Fiona Alice book that I think you're going to adore. I'm very envious. So first, the yarn. 2 skeins of Skein Queen, colorway Along the Lanes. It's the Entwine yarn, which is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon, so perfect for a current sock obsession. So this is a custom colorway that Debbie made especially for you, for you. And I'll be sending both skeins to one of the winners. Now, I mentioned previously when I got my Pom Pom magazine just how lovely their wrapping is, so I can't even bring myself to open it, but this is a copy of the Fiona Alice book that has just come out. Lovely pattern book. And finally, some lovely stitch markers from Fripperies Bibelots. They're my favourite stitch markers. I use them for every project I make, and it's quite a special batch. There's 1 giant one, 3 large ones, and 5 small ones, and again they are in colours that match the yarn. They are just fantastic, all teals, blues, greens, which I really love, and I love having a custom colourway. It's fun. So these are 3 prizes, and again, as I mentioned at the beginning, the way to participate is to do a random act of kindness. It can be something for a Ravelry friend. You can buy somebody a pattern, or you can help somebody with some knitting issues they've had. You can buy a coffee for a friend on the way to work. It can be something that takes you just 2 minutes. It's entirely up to you, and then you just leave a comment, let me know that you've done your little good deed, and I'll be picking winners in 2 videos time. So that gives you long enough to do it, and I will remind you next week. But of course, make a note to do it. It makes the world a happier place. Now we're done with your future stash enhancements. Time for me to share my own stash enhancements. It's been quite a nice week. I have received the Hedgehog Fibres Club. I slipped and bought 3 lace weight skeins also from Hedgehog Fibres, which got shipped along with my club yarn. I've received my package from my swappie for the Valentine's Day swap, which I'll show you in a second, and I ordered the Knitlandia book from Clara Parks because I've just heard such great stuff. I've seen lots of people on Instagram who went to her talks over in the US. I'm very envious because it seemed like it was really good fun. So I'm looking forward, that arrived today, so I'm looking forward to having a good read of that this evening. Now let me show you the yarn that I got. So first, usual warning, club yarn, look away if you're part of the club. First, the twist skein. I mean, put your sunglasses on, it's fantastic. So this, I just feel like the Twist Club has just been such a hit. There's been 2 months ago was that bright blue Fiji skein. I can't remember what last month was. It was another beautifully bright one, and then this one is just fantastically hot pink with those big bursts of green and blue. So that, again, the twist sock is so perfect for making a pair of socks. And the two skeins from the non-twist sock club, again, just how do they get such brilliant colors. So this is kind of pistachio-y with a little touch of yellow, a bit of pink and black over here, a bit of rusty orange, but really an overwhelming kind of pistachio-y feel to it. So that I really like, and I think that's probably going to become a hat for me because I just really gel with that colorway. This colorway I'm a little bit less in love with, but I'm sure that somebody will adore it. I'll probably put this one for sale. So it's kind of orange and pink and black, and it is really nice. But I'm slightly less in love with the orange. So that was the club stuff. And then the night before the clubs were shipped, I gave in and I bought some lace weight from Hedgehog Fibres. Again, I think I've really got a thing for the pistachio-y colours. This one is just dreamy with kind of mostly greens and blues, a bit of purple and pink. It's very kind of pastel My Little Pony, but I think it's just going to make a fantastic lace weight shawl. And this is the Blueface Leicester lace. So it's 100% Blueface Leicester, 800 meters. So I'll be able to make something absolutely ginormous out of it. The other one that looks a little bit similar, but has a little bit more pink and then some kind of touches of rust color, is this one. So this, sorry, the first one was called, I should tell you the colorways. So Down by the River, and this one is actually called Pistachio, even though in reality the other one probably had more of the pistachio colors. Really like it. And do you remember back when Hedgehog Fibres sent me that amazing gold bag that contained a few extra skeins as a treat and as a little apology because they'd buggered up my previous order? One of the colours that I got in the sock yarn was called Eel, which is a deep blue and black, and I still haven't knit it, almost because I love it too much. I don't know what to do with it. But I've ordered the same colourway on the Blueface lace, and as you probably know, different fibres react in different ways, and of course when it's hand dyed it doesn't always get the same effect because the dyeing happens in different ways. But this is slightly different. It's got a lot of black and a lot of the purpley blue, a little bit less of the kind of deep teal. But again, I just really fancy making a shawl out of this, so that you can really admire the colour. This might actually become Echo Beach. I started Echo Beach 2 or 3 times over the years where I wasn't all that competent, and that level of lace, it's not just lace, but it's lace where you drop stitches later on so that you end up with this kind of lovely curve throughout. But it's quite a scary process to drop stitches. You have to really have confidence in how you've knit the previous rows. So I think that might be it. But of course, there's so many things I want to make, I don't know where to start anymore. So I'm just going to stick to something simple for now and finish the hat that I started last night. Step 1. And the final bit of my stash acquisition is the stuff that was sent to me by the lovely Brittany from the Sip and Stitch podcast. She's in Texas and she sent me a few lovely little bits. So she sent me this really nice little notebook, really quite sweet colours, I like it. This very cute, this very cute little dragonfly stitch marker or clip progress marker, I suppose. 4 mini skeins. So my favourite one out of the 4 mini skeins that she sent me, I really like the comment. So she says, I knit my first socks with this, and then in brackets, I've since learned that yarn needs nylon. It's just such a lovely colorway. It's Cascade Heritage Silk, and really, really like it. Let's see the other ones. One mini of Malabrigo sock yarn. This one's a lovely colorway. Oh, cool! This is my first Woolen Vine yarn. Admittedly, 10 grams of it, but it's a start. So this is Woolen Vine Smitten DK, and she knit her favorite hat with this. That's just such a fantastic colorway. I really look forward to actually managing to get some of Woolen Vine yarn in one of her future updates. She's got some really fun colorways. They're great. And finally, this last one, which is kind of reds and rusts, her second pair of socks that she knit with this, and much loved by her mum. That's Choco Dye by Knit One Crochet Two. So yeah. 4 lovely, fun little mini skeins, a little needlepoint kit, some tea, which I'm looking forward to digging into, and some lovely kind of vanilla caramels, which I have already dug into. So again, Brittany, thank you. I really love this stuff, and do check out her show. I'll put a link in the description. So this brings me to the end of the episode. Do pop by Ravelry, the Along the Lanes group, and let me know which of these skeins do you think I should cast on first, because I just can't decide. They're all so equally wonderful. So thank you again for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see you next week. Bye-bye! I'll put a link in... I'll put a link in the description. Special stitch markers from Fripperies.